I didn't know what I was walking into, but once the door closed, there was no walking out. Jennifer Lawrence, under oath, her voice trembling just slightly, eyes fixed on the prosecutor. Those were the words that echoed through the courtroom like a thunderclap. No names, no places, just a chilling sentence. But everyone in the room, and now the world, knew exactly what she was talking about. For years, whispers have trailed behind Sean "Diddy" Combs. Lavish parties shrouded in secrecy, celebrities seen arriving but never speaking about what happened inside. Industry insiders calling them career-defining nights. Some said it was all rumor. Others said it was an open secret. But no one ever dared say it out loud. Not on the record. Until now. Jennifer Lawrence, America's silver screen darling, an Oscar winner, and one of the most carefully guarded celebrities in Hollywood, took the stand this week in a federal courtroom, and without saying Diddy's name, she might have said more than anyone has ever dared to. What started as a subpoena for an unrelated civil case quickly turned into something much bigger, something darker, something that may very well rip open the carefully stitched fabric of celebrity power circles. And as her testimony unfolded, calm, controlled but unnervingly raw, everyone began to realize the rumors weren't just rumors anymore. They were evidence. And the moment it hit, the moment it all changed, you'll know it when you hear it. Because silence has never been louder than what followed Jennifer Lawrence's final sentence. It began as a civil lawsuit with almost no media attention, an obscure legal dispute involving former employees of a high-profile entertainment management firm. But things took a sharp turn when Jennifer Lawrence was unexpectedly subpoenaed as a witness. At first it didn't make sense. What did one of Hollywood's most private actresses have to do with a management firm under federal scrutiny? Then, the documents dropped. Hidden deep within sealed exhibits and redacted testimonies were references, coded, subtle but unmistakable, to private celebrity gatherings, off-the-record engagements, and powerful figures with the ability to make or break careers overnight. That's when the name Sean "Diddy" Combs started surfacing. Again. For years, Diddy has been at the center of swirling rumors, whispers of underground parties, elite circles, NDAs, and coercive deals made behind closed doors. Those who attended rarely spoke. Those who refused to attend? They didn't stay in the spotlight long. And for just as long, Jennifer Lawrence's name had lingered at the edges of those rumors. Never accused, never confirmed, always a question mark. Was she simply another guest? A bystander? Or was she someone who saw more than she ever wanted to? When she walked into that courtroom, all anyone expected was a routine, detached statement. But what followed was anything but. Her words didn't just answer questions. They opened a vault. The vault of silence. Hollywood has kept locked for decades, and now the truth might finally be spilling out. Because if Jennifer Lawrence is willing to speak, under oath, what else might finally come to light? For over 2 decades, Sean "Diddy" Combs has been more than a music mogul. He's been a power broker. The kind of man who didn't just throw parties, but curated events whispered about in the corridors of power. These weren't your typical celebrity gatherings. According to long-standing rumors, they were ultra-exclusive, NDA-bound affairs where influence was traded like currency and silence was the price of admission. Some said they were nothing more than high-end social mixers. Others painted a much darker picture: private mansions stripped of security cameras, phones confiscated at the door, and guests escorted in and out without ever speaking publicly again. Stories circulated about young actors, musicians, and influencers being invited to these events as career favors. But there was always the same catch: say nothing or say goodbye to your career. Jennifer Lawrence's name started popping up in this underground rumor mill sometime around 2013, shortly after her Oscar win. The story was vague, a sudden spike in her career trajectory, rumors of meetings with industry kingmakers, and a few unexplained absences from the public eye, disappearances that coincided with some of Diddy's more notorious party weekends. The gossip blogs ran with it. J-Law at Diddy's After Dark Gala? Why is Jennifer Lawrence's team panicking over leaked guest lists? Most mainstream outlets dismissed it as tabloid fodder. Her public persona didn't fit the narrative. She was funny, quirky, relatable. America's sweetheart. Surely she wasn't part of that world. But some saw the pattern. The same players, the same rise-to-fame arcs, the same strategic silences, and when the allegations began to build against Diddy, from financial manipulation to coercive behavior, some wondered aloud, who else knows the truth? Who was there? Jennifer Lawrence never addressed the rumors, until now. Her courtroom appearance wasn't just a legal requirement. It became a reckoning. Because whether she intended to or not, her words were about to rip the veil off one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets. The question wasn't whether she'd name names. The question was whether she'd finally confirm what so many had feared was true all along. The courtroom was unusually quiet for a proceeding that had become the center of national media attention overnight. Reporters sat elbow to elbow, scribbling notes, waiting for something, anything, to happen. And then, just before noon, the doors opened. Jennifer Lawrence stepped in. She wasn't flanked by a high-profile attorney or a wall of publicists. Just a federal marshal and a quiet nod to the judge. She wore no makeup, her hair pulled back. The glamour of Hollywood stripped away. In its place was a calm, serious woman who knew that every word she said could set the world on fire. Her demeanor was controlled, but not cold. When she sat down, she glanced toward the gallery, her eyes briefly locking with a few journalists she clearly recognized. Then she adjusted the microphone, took a sip of water, and waited. The lead attorney approached slowly, methodically. The early questions were formal: background, career timeline, basic professional associations. Jennifer answered them all with quiet precision. Then came the shift. Miss Lawrence, are you familiar with private events hosted by individuals associated with Combs Enterprises or its subsidiaries between the years 2013 and 2017? There it was. The courtroom didn't gasp, but it tensed, visibly. Even the judge leaned forward slightly. Jennifer looked down, exhaled, and then said, I received multiple invitations to events hosted by members of that circle. Some I attended. Some I declined. And some I wasn't exactly given a choice. The prosecution team exchanged glances. One whispered something to the lead attorney, who nodded and pressed forward. Can you clarify what you mean by wasn't exactly given a choice? She hesitated. Then, there are people in this industry who frame certain invitations as opportunities. You're told it's good for your career, that it'll open doors, but those doors close behind you. And when they do, you're not the one holding the handle. The courtroom was silent, dead silent. A document was introduced into evidence, an event ledger from a 2014 private party held in Bel Air. It listed Lawrence's name alongside several other celebrities and executives, and what appeared to be coded annotations: Red Room guest, cleared, extended stay. When asked to explain the notation next to her name, Jennifer paused. Red Room wasn't a place. It was a level. You were either in it or you weren't, and if you were, you knew not to talk about it. Ever. Until now. For years, the public believed Jennifer Lawrence's career was the result of pure talent, lucky breaks, and a few quirky interviews. And to be fair, a lot of it was, but what her testimony made clear was that there was another side to Hollywood, one not covered in red carpets or talk shows. She didn't directly accuse Diddy, but she didn't need to. The names listed on the ledger, the phrases she used, the dead-eyed recollection of being in rooms where everything looked consensual until it didn't. It all painted a picture, one the media could no longer ignore. TMZ ran the headline, Jennifer Lawrence, Red Room is real. Variety took a more cautious tone. Lawrence alludes to secret Hollywood tears in stunning testimony, and Rolling Stone didn't hold back. Hollywood's favorite actress just tore open the industry's darkest secret. Online, reactions ranged from disbelief to horror. On Twitter, hashtags like #Red Room Hollywood and #JLaw tells the truth began trending within hours. Commentators debated every word she said, Every pause, every glance toward the prosecution table. Some asked why she didn't speak sooner. Others thanked her for speaking at all. But one thing was clear. The silence was broken, and the old explanations, just rumors, tabloid nonsense, conspiracy theories, no longer held weight, because when Jennifer Lawrence looked across that courtroom and said, "There was no walking out," she wasn't just talking about herself. She was talking about an entire generation of stars caught in something they never asked to be part of. And now, finally, the world was listening. And then, it happened. Just when the courtroom seemed to settle into a rhythm, testimony, exhibits, clarifications, Jennifer Lawrence shifted in her seat. Her posture tightened, voice a little lower, as the prosecutor asked what initially seemed like a throwaway question. Were there any individuals at these events whose presence or behavior made you uncomfortable? Jennifer hesitated. Her lawyer leaned forward, whispering something, but she waved him off. Then she turned back to the mic. Yes. The room waited. Would you be willing to name any of them? Another pause. One of the events I attended was hosted by Mr. Combs. I was told it was a closed celebration for artists who had hit major milestones. When I arrived, I realized very quickly that it was not that kind of party. Murmurs swept across the gallery like a gust of wind. I tried to leave, she continued. And someone, not Diddy directly, but someone who worked for him, told me that leaving early would be seen as disrespect, that I was expected to stay until the private session. The phrase hung in the air, private session. The prosecutor asked gently, "Did you stay?" Jennifer nodded once. Yes. I stayed because I was scared. I stayed because everyone else was pretending nothing was wrong. And I stayed because, in that moment, I thought it would ruin my career if I didn't. Gasps. Audible. Real. Not from reporters, from other witnesses waiting to testify. Even the judge took a long breath before calling for order, and then came the final blow. Miss Lawrence, did you witness or experience anything that you would consider coercive or inappropriate during that private session? Her lips parted slightly. Her voice was steady. I witnessed an actress, someone younger than me at the time, being led into a room. She looked terrified. I was told not to interfere, that it wasn't my place. And I still think about that moment, every single day. She didn't name the girl. But the image was enough to suggest that what had once been whispered behind closed doors was now undeniable. That these weren't just wild parties or eccentric celebrity gatherings, these were systems, controlled environments designed to silence, intimidate, and keep the truth buried. And Jennifer Lawrence, by simply telling her truth, cracked the surface wide open. The courtroom didn't recover after that moment. The rest of the day was a blur of procedural motions, stunned expressions, and 1,000 questions with no immediate answers. But the biggest question had already been answered. Yes, she was there. Yes, it happened. And yes, the rumors were real. Jennifer Lawrence's testimony was more than just another celebrity speaking under oath. It was a seismic shift in Hollywood's carefully guarded narrative. For years, the rumors surrounding Diddy and his infamous parties were treated like conspiracy theories. Whispers in dark corners, hints buried in blind items. But with just a few devastating statements, Jennifer turned speculation into confirmation. She admitted she was there, that she witnessed coercion, that she stayed silent out of fear, not for herself alone, but for her career, her reputation, and possibly her safety. And in doing so, she gave voice to countless others who may never get their day in court. For Jennifer, this moment marks a turning point. Once seen solely as a beloved, light-hearted A-lister, she's now stepping into the role of reluctant truth-teller, one whose bravery could change the very fabric of how the entertainment industry polices itself, if it ever truly does. For Diddy, the fallout is just beginning. Investigators have already reopened several related cases, citing Lawrence's sworn testimony as potential corroboration. Sources close to federal agencies confirm that more subpoenas are expected and that at least one civil suit may soon escalate into a criminal investigation. Hollywood is no longer silent. The question now isn't whether the rumors were true. It's how deep they go and who else is willing to speak. What do you think about Jennifer Lawrence's testimony? Were you shocked by what she revealed? Or did it simply confirm what many already suspected? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading every single one. And if you want to hear about another jaw-dropping courtroom moment, check out our deep dive on the explosive revelations from the ongoing Diddy investigation involving other A-list names. This story is far from over. As new witnesses step forward and the legal pressure mounts, we'll be here to break it all down. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next.